Hey comic book fans, it's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and this weekend I am on the road. I am stopping off at Hagerstown, Maryland at two really good antique malls, and we're going to run into both of them today and see what kind of comics we can find, because I found really good comics the last time I visited here last year, and I'm hoping to have equal success from the last time. So stay tuned. Actually, let me tell you what the malls are. The first one I'm going to go into is Beaver Creek Antique Mall, and the second one is going to be Antique Crossroads. They are right next to one another here, as I said, in Hagerstown, Maryland, and so we're going to go into both of these, and I will shoot a little bit of footage and show you what the store looks like a little bit, the mall looks like on both of them. Hopefully we'll find some really good comics and some really good deals, but stay tuned, enjoy the footage, and I will be right back. Alright guys, so we just finished with Beaver Creek Antique Mall, and in there you're going to see the footage from Timber Grove Comics. They do have a small setup there. I'd forgotten that they had such a good display. They had a lot of really good books, and I ended up having to get the counter person to come back and open up the display cases so I could go through all those boxes. I did find a couple of pretty good books. Not quite what I was looking for, but I went ahead and bought these two books, and we'll show you those a little bit later in the video. I'm going to go to the other antique mall. This is the Antique Crossroads, and it's, as I said, next door, but I'm going to actually move the car a little bit closer because, as you can tell, it has started raining here in Hagerstown, and I don't feel like walking through all that rain. So stay tuned, and I'm going to go into the other mall, and hopefully we'll find some more books there. So stay tuned. All right, so I ended up finishing up at the Antique Crossroads. I've done both malls now, and I hope you enjoyed the footage from both places. I tell you, even if you're not a comic book fan and you're an antique fan, these are two great malls. They're not huge, but boy, are they jam-packed with collectibles and antiques and furniture, and it is a really amazing place. Both places are really amazing, and ended up having a good time. Ended up finding comics in both places. And once I get back to the house, I'm going to sit down and we will go through the books and I'll show you what I picked up. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the footage from the two antique malls there in Hagerstown. I enjoyed my time and finally got back. Let's sit down and go over the books right now, and I'll show you what I picked up. So the first two books that I picked up was from the first antique mall. This is Beaver Creek Antique Mall. And the dealer there, and you could see that it was a dealer, it was Timber Grove Traders, and primarily just comic books and comic book related items. They were the only straight up comic book dealer at either of these two malls. And I've been there before, and I've gone through a lot of these books before as well. They definitely had some new things in the cases, as you saw as I viewed as I filmed over top of it. You could see they definitely had some nice books in there, but I also felt like a lot of the prices were a little overpriced for the conditions, and so I ended up passing on a lot of those. But I did go through every one of those short boxes that was in the case and the stacks of books that were also there, and I was probably... There was a couple things. In fact, there was one Justice League of America book that I really wanted. It's on the wish list. It's one of those early Crisis books. And it just wasn't the condition that I wanted. So I had to pass on that. Even though the price was about right, it just wasn't the right condition because I want a much better copy. And as I said, I passed on a lot of those more high expensive other books. But I definitely ended up getting a Crisis book. And I did pick up a really minty fresh copy of Crisis of Infinite Earths #7. This is The Death of Supergirl. And this is a book, to be honest with you, I probably shouldn't have bought another copy of this. This is a book that I have spec'd on in the past. I've got my 9.8. In fact, I've got several 9.8s out of this, but they were a little tough because I ended up with a few 9.6s as well. This is all last year when I was sending a lot of orders in the CGC. But I saw this book and I really saw the condition on this, and I'm going, this looks really good. Doesn't hurt to have another copy. And I think what it was at that point, this was the first book that I pulled out that I felt like the condition and the price was fine, and I just went ahead and was like, just go ahead and do it. And I kind of wanted to buy a comic. I mean, that's kind of what I'm out there for, guys. I just love getting comics. And so I went ahead and picked up another copy of this. But the other book actually has, I bought this on condition and real potential. This one right here, I've never had this, but I've looked at it before. It is Marvel Age #12. You've got this reproduction. It's actually, I think this came out before Secret Wars did. This is the cover to Secret Wars, at least the characters. I know it's not the complete cover, but the big significance in this book, it is the first appearance of Spider-Man in his new black costume. It's more of the concept art. If I remember right, the costume had the white spider on the costume as red, if I recall that. But this predates Spider-Man 253, and I'm sorry, 252, and has a lot of value. I mean, I looked it up. I knew it was a significant book, but I didn't realize that 9.8s actually have sold in just the last month or two for as much as $555, and that was an eBay sale. And 9.6s even still have a lot of value. It drops down a lot. And one for it went back in May of 2023, again, just a few months ago, for $125. Now, both of those were fixed price listings on eBay. So who knows if you could probably get those for a little bit less, definitely if it was an auction style. But I looked at this copy, and man, I tell you, it looks really, really sharp. It could use a little cleaning over in the spine, just a little, but I didn't see any spine ticks. So I figured, why not? Let's take a shot at this. And again, I definitely wanted to pick up something, and even if I walked, I didn't really want to walk away without anything, and got to be better about that. That's something that I've got to be able to walk away from, but I do like picking up books, especially books that I've never had in the PC before. So a lot of potential on that right there, but those were the only two books that I ended up picking up from the Beaver Creek Antique Mall. There were several other dealers, and if you saw the footage, there were other comics there, but it was a lot lesser comics, things that more common, mass-produced 90s books. They were good readers back in the day, but there's not a lot of significant value, so I passed on a lot of things. But Timber Grove Traders really treats their books right. Everything's in Mylar, and it is very nice. There are a lot of nice books there. It's just sometimes the prices are just a little bit high. So that was it for Beaver Creek Antique Mall. Now, I went over to the other mall, and you saw it in the video. I drove over, even though they're practically next to each other. There is a small another little antique shop right in between them, and it is in two different parking lots. But you could walk, they have a little pathway, you could walk right across, but it was raining. So I drove over, and I went in there, and that place is, both of these malls are just jam-packed with really good collectibles and antiques, and it's presented well. It's not junky, and I think my wife would enjoy this. I know she enjoyed the other antique mall that I took her to, and neither of these are as big as the one down in Verona, Virginia, so I think she could get through these pretty good. But this one had several more comic book, well, vendors who had comic books. There was no straight up comic book dealer at this mall. And now this was the Antique Crossroads, but I knew there was one dealer there in particular that had some old Dale comics, some Walt Disney Dale comics, and I knew where I was going to go there, and I knew where the dealers were from the previous time, even though I did go over the whole mall just to double check. And I ended up getting a small batch of comics from the same dealer that I got some from before, and I didn't end up getting comics from any place else in the mall. There were some stacks and some other cases. You saw some Sergeant Furies and some Silver Age war books and things like that. And to be honest with you, I was looking at them, and there's just nothing that struck my interest. So I didn't see anything else except from this one dealer that I had bought from before. So the first book I ended up picking up from the Antique Crossroads from this dealer was Walt Disney Comics and Stories. This is issue number 190. This came out in June of 1956. And there's very few on the census. And in fact, the other three Walt Disney's Comics and Stories that I've got here, there's very few on the census. So I'm going to give you some of the best prices, the most recent prices on some of these, because they are high grade. I don't know if any of these are going to meet that super high grade, but I think they all have a lot of potential. I did try to pick out really good copies of the books that they had there, books that didn't have a lot of major defects. There is some writing on the cover in pencil on a couple of these, and I'm hoping to take it off of here without disturbing the color. We'll find out. But this one right here, this is issue number 90. It was June of 1956. Again, 12 that I could find on the census, 9.8 so. Now, this just tells you the value in some of these, the potential in some of these, if you can find a really good copy. 9.8 went back in 2015 for $410. That was the last sale I ever saw on a 9.8. That was on eBay. 9.6 went back here in March of this year for $360. So I'm hoping that this will grade out in at least a 9.2, and definitely have some meat in the bone. This right here is, I paid a whole $6 for this. And the other three, I think I paid $8 a piece. And the condition's really good, and if I end up not getting these graded, I'm okay with that, because these are really good books to have in the PC. These are all of them have Carl Barks artwork in there, and you can't go wrong with Donald Duck and Carl Barks. The next issue was number 226. This was June of 1959. Only 14 on the census as far as I could find. 9.8. Now this one was really good. 9.8 went for $720. And again, that was, I believe that was another eBay sale back here in June, just a month ago. 9.6 went on this for $372, and that's, even though that's about half the price, that's really, really good. This one, again, June of 2023. This one was issue number 230. 230 went on Heritage Auctions last month for $660 and 9.8. And again, I don't think any of these are going to hit 9.8, but with just a little bit of cleaning, I think we could really get into that. I hope it doesn't drop down below an 8.5, but I'm hoping really to get 9s and 9.2s, and who knows, I might get lucky. But this one right here, October of 1959, 14 on the census, 9.8 went for $660, as they said on Heritage Auctions. 9.6 went a month earlier for $408. And that's one right here that I hope, even with a little bit lower grade, will definitely retain a lot of value if I get a little bit lower grade. Now, the last one was issue number 244. There is no 9.8s of this. There is a 9.6. There's only 9 on the census. 9.6 went for $264 back in May, and 9.4 went for $276 back in April. The last sold was back in 2021. I think that's the only really old date that I have, except for that one 9.8 from the first issue that I said was in 2015. But all of them had a little bit of potential. All of them are really nice shape. I did bypass a lot of the other books that had a lot of ticks, a lot of creases, a lot of color breaking creases and things like that. So I passed on all those. I definitely picked out some really nice copies. And then the only other 2 comics I ended up picking up from this particular vendor was this right here. I never had any of these issues. I don't know why, but I guess it was just I wasn't buying a lot of DC at the time. Even though the artwork, I've seen these and the artwork was fantastic, I just never got into it. But I ended up picking up issue number 1 of Justice. And this is, you got this great Alex Ross artwork. And this is issue number 1. And I ended up picking up the variant with the villains. This is the heroes, and here's the villains on that. Here, I want to put the villains up front. And I paid a whole $1 for this, for both of them. $1 each, I should say. And I did that just because I want to read the books, but I will give you some values on this. These are really nice copies. And 9.8 doesn't have a super lot of value. In the Heroes version, the last sale I saw was back in 2021 for only $85. The villains, however, did have a sale back of May of this year for $225. It was a best offer, so I don't know how far that went down. But there was a fixed price sale of only $90 at the same time. So who knows what that best offer really was. And a lot of times I'll take about 25% off of a best offer and guesstimate a price, but it's entirely likely that that book got a best offer of somewhere around that $100 mark. Who knows? But those were the books that I picked up from the second antique mall, the Antique Crossroads. And again, they did have other dealers, other vendors with other comics there. It's just nothing struck my interest. I went through a lot of stuff and just didn't see anything that I felt like investing any money in. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed these comics and enjoyed my visit to the 2 malls there in Hagerstown, Maryland. If you guys ever get a chance to stop there, I'd definitely encourage you to do that. But let me know what you think of the malls and what you think of these comics by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button. That helps the algorithm and get that channel out there, because as you can see, the channel keeps growing. We keep getting new members every day, and that's pretty exciting. I'm kind of excited to see where this channel will go. But definitely, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel as well, and hit that notification bell so you know and will be alerted when I put out new episodes every Monday and Friday at 10 a.m. And usually I'll be live on there so I can comment and talk to you guys at the same time. But that is it for today. If you're ever interested in any of the books I have on my channel, also definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on my Instagram account. You can also check out what I have for sale currently on my eBay store and on my Shortbox page. Both of those links, all of these links, are down in the description below. But enough of the sales pitch. I'm out of here. You guys have a great day, and I will see you for the next one. And remember, every comic has a story.